Hey guys, Jay here and welcome to my comprehensive guide to cosplay commissions. In this video, I'll be mostly talking about the process of commissions and not so much specifically where you can find them, as that's going to highly vary depending on where you have accounts on what sites. So what is a cosplay commission? Well, it's not really that much different from commissioning literally anything else. The most common use of the word commission online would be through fan art, but not everyone knows what even that is. So that's like half the reason this video is even being made, with the other half being the process, of course. A commissioner is basically just somebody who makes a product for a paying customer. The main difference between buying something and commissioning something is when you buy something, you're paying for a product that was made beforehand. Whereas with a commission, the product hasn't even started being made until the customer makes some type of payment. Only after some kind of payment will the commissioner actually start the process of making your product. And then once it's made and paid off, they'll ship it to you, or however you guys decide to get it to you. For example, with me, I've done 3 commissions for my friend Hardy. He paid me to make 3 shields from the Rising of the Shield Hero. The difference here, other than him being my friend, is that I don't have to ship them to him. So that's a thing you guys can work out with your commissioner. If you're close enough or you go to the same cons, you can either go and pick it up somewhere from them, like meet up like you would buying anything else, or if you meet up at the con, or whatever else you guys decide, but that's between you and your commissioner. So now that I've talked about what the basics of commissions are, I'll go ahead and talk about some important things you'll want to know, and then move on to the commission process itself, which should be everything that should happen from the point of where you decide that you want to get a commission done to it being shipped out to you. The first one is the different places that you can go to find commissions. Like I said earlier, I can't give you really any specifics because you'll have to do that for yourself and look for different places on your own. But the 2 main places right now that I think are the best to go to would be different subreddits or Facebook groups. For the Facebook groups, you could look up on the search bar and type in cosplay commissions or something like that. I don't really know, I haven't gone on them. So I've just heard that that's a good place to do it, but I can't really help you there. As for Reddit, I know that there are cosplay commissions subreddits. I don't know them either. I haven't done a commission in a while. It's been quite a few years, so I don't know the specifics of which ones are good and bad. So look for the ones that have the most members as well as more recent posts. The good thing about Facebook is that anything can be still commented on regardless of how old it is, but Reddit, normally, I don't know how exactly they work, but once they get to a certain age of being posted, like how long ago, they just become archived and nobody can post on them anymore, which makes it a lot harder. So just look around at all the different pages and see what you can find. Also, since this is pretty relevant to this topic, as well as this specific one where we're talking about websites, I talked about this in my cosplay buying guide, but I think I should state it here as well. The custom sizing option on those sites is not the same as commissioning. For more detail, refer to that video around 5 minutes and 26 seconds in. The second thing to keep in mind, and probably the #1 thing that makes people think twice about getting a commission, is the price. A lot of people don't seem to understand that commissioning is, as I said before, not just buying something. You aren't paying for just the product itself. This is a custom-made product. You also need to pay for the materials and the labor, or the time that goes into making it. Think about it, a commissioner is a person, not a machine, and they have lives outside of doing commissions. In order to do your commission in the first place, they have to take time out of their life to do it, and you need to pay for that. Remember, they're doing a custom job. Think about it in terms of a remodel on, I don't know, your bathroom. Do you pay them only for the finished product? No, of course you don't. You're also paying them to do the job itself, as well as paying for all of the stuff that went into the remodel in the first place. For this bathroom remodel example, you would have to pay for the new sink, the new cabinets, the new tile, the new toilets, all that kind of stuff. It's the same thing here. So for example, let's say a sword. You have to pay them for the paint, whatever the core inside is, the foam itself, and anything else that goes into the sword. But you also have to pay for the time it takes them to make the sword. And everything is going to be a different price. There is no set prices. So that Krona sword and that Master sword are going to cost 2 different prices. And those are both made of the same thing, just different amounts of the same thing. When we're talking about things like 3D printing or other types of plastic or even metals, it's going to be a lot more expensive. So depending on the materials, the price is going to change quite a bit. So don't think that if you saw somebody give you a price of $100 for a foam sword, and then you went, well, I want it in plastic maybe. And then you went to someone else and said, well, someone said they'll make it for $100 out of foam. Well, that means nothing, honestly, because the plastic costs a lot more. So the different things that are going to go into the commission are really what you need to keep in mind, because it's all going to change the price very drastically. The last thing to keep in mind is what to send the commissioner in your first message or in your post if you are making a post looking for the commission that commissioners will come to. It doesn't matter which of those this is, because they'll both be the exact same. The most important parts of this are going to be reference images and a price range. These will immediately let the commissioner know if they're even right for the job or not. So if they look at the reference images and decide that they aren't able to make whatever it is you want, or if they look at your price and they can't do it within that price range, they know not to even message you if it's on a post, so they're not even going to waste your time or theirs. But if you messaged them with those, they'll probably just let you know, hey, I can't do that, you would be better off with somebody else. Having both reference images and a price range will make things go a lot easier and a lot smoother. You might also want to add a few basic measurements or a size, like the typical bust, waist, hip measurements, or whatever size clothing you wear in the country you're in. Either of these are fine, and they'll give the potential commissioner a size reference so that they can sort of get a price range on what this might cost you. And finally, the date that you plan to wear it, or the date of the con, or whenever you just want it to be received. This will give the commissioner a time frame for how long they have to make it. If it's too short and they don't think they can make it in that period of time, then it's good to know that before they start so they can let you know that they're not the one for the job, and to move on to somebody else. It's a good idea to always commission something well in advance. I would say at the very least 3 months. That way the commissioner has plenty of time to get it done. Now obviously, very difficult things that are going to take a lot longer, you want to give a little bit more time for. And normally a good commissioner will be able to estimate somewhat how long it should take to make something. And also try not to make changes in the middle of the commission. Make sure you have all of the information and details laid out at the start before the commissioner begins. Some changes may not be able to happen, and they would have to start over to even do the change in the first place. And that's a huge time waster, so just try not to do it. Alright, so let's move on to the process itself. This will cover everything, or at least as much as I can, from the beginning where you decided that you want something commissioned, all the way up until the part where they're about to send it to you or give it to you, however you guys decide. The first thing you're going to want to do is look online for the commissioner themselves. So this kind of goes into that first thing I talked about with the websites. Some of these groups will have where only commissioners can post, and then they'll put all their stuff like pictures and their rates, like their hourly rates and stuff like that, and then you message them. But then other groups might have where you just post looking for commissions, and then commissioners come to you. And then there might be some, I don't know for sure, but there probably is some where both posts can just be made whenever. Regardless of any of those that you do, you're going to want to look up any of the commissioners that you come into contact with. You can ask them if they have a website or some other album somewhere that shows their previous work, or reviews if possible. You can also use Google to search up their names to see if maybe somebody talked about them on a different website. Once you have found a commissioner that you can trust, you're going to be expected to give measurements if it's a costume, or dimensions if it's a prop. If you don't know exactly how to get those measurements, a good commissioner should be fine with helping you figure out exactly how to measure yourself or find the dimensions of your prop. If you don't mention it in your post or your message to them, a commissioner is probably going to want to know exactly what material you want your prop made of. Normally you would get this out in the first message or your post, but you're human, you make mistakes. You might forget to put it down. For example, if you wanted a sword 3D printed, and only 3D printed and nothing else, then you really should state that in your post or your first message. Making sure the commissioner can even make things out of the material you want to use in the first place will save a ton of time. If you put your desired material in your post, then only commissioners who work with that material will respond. And if you're the one messaging a commissioner based on their post, and you mention a desired material, the commissioner will let you know whether or not they even use that material. And this way no one wastes anyone's time. After the commissioner has all of the needed information and is ready to start on your prop or whatever it is, the last thing you really need to do is make some kind of payment. You need to pay for at least some of it up front. Not everyone is going to have every material or piece to make every prop imaginable. They're going to need to buy some things. Since you're the one supposed to be paying for the materials, they usually will just have you pay for that up front. Also, sometimes a down payment or deposit is required before they'll even start a commission. Normally this is just cost of materials, maybe a little more than that, or half of the entire cost. Normally this is also not refundable, but by this point in the commission you're committed and not getting a refund anyway, so it doesn't really matter. You can also ask the commissioner to send update pictures or something every once in a while or on a certain schedule. Every commissioner should do this because it reassures the customer that they're not getting ripped off, as well as shows kind of the process that they're going through, showing that they're actually making the product. If you are awaiting progress pictures and you haven't gotten one in quite a while and it seems a little longer than it should, you can always ask if they can send you anything to show that they're working on it, but remember to be polite about it because you don't know what's going on in their life. Something bad could have happened. It could be so bad that they had to put your prop on hold. Their life comes first. So just be patient and you'll get progress pictures when you get progress pictures. Normally if you do ask them, hey, it's been a while, things like that, they will tell you that something happened or something, whatever the reason is, that they haven't been able to send one or work on your piece. So just understand that your commissioner isn't working around the clock 24/7 on only your prop and nothing else. Now, if you didn't pay in full up front, you will be asked to pay the rest of it before it gets shipped to you. However the payment plan goes with you and your commissioner is between you and your commissioner. That will likely be talked about well in advance before you make the first payment. So if you have, say, a payment plan, just be sure to stick to it. Commissioning is probably the best way to get a costume if you don't know how to make them yourself. When you buy them online, this is something I didn't talk about in that video that I probably should have, they're not very accurate. There's actually like a ton of costumes that accurate versions just don't exist. But for example, look at this Sesshomaru cosplay. Look at the bottom of the waist tie obi thing. The one on the costume itself is extremely inaccurate. Looks nothing like what it should. As well as the chest and shoulder armor pieces. The ones on the costume look really bad. If a commissioner made this, it would look a million times better. Anyway, that's all I have for this video. Hope I gave you some more information on cosplay commissions. I don't really talk about it much, but I do commissions myself for props and wigs. Obviously, the props that I do are all foam, which makes them con safe. In fact, these are the most con safe. There are some cons out there that don't allow wooden weapons, and the rare occasion that doesn't allow plastic weapons. But I've not seen yet a single convention that doesn't allow foam weapons. So if you happen to like my work on this channel and probably Instagram where I post other things that I don't exactly make on the channel, there's a link in the description to my website, and on there I have a contact form for commissions. You can also get a hold of me on my Facebook page if you'd rather do that, also linked in the description. The website contact form is email based, so it'll be emailing back and forth between me and you, whereas the Facebook one, it'll be just like a regular Facebook message, but you'll be talking to me on my cosplay page. So if you want to do the Facebook one, just be sure to click on the one that says cosplay Facebook, not photography. So if you like this video, go ahead and give it that thumbs up, subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys later.